Aloha, it's CreativeNameToStandOut again with another battle report. This time it's meeting engagement, 2,500 points between my Dark Elves and the local Lizardmen player. So I roll and I get to deploy first, so let's see where I set up. So first of all, my Executioners rolled a 1, so they're in reserve, and I attached my level 1 Sorceress with them, so she's stuck out there with them too. So here's the 48 Spearmen on my right flank, then 18 Witches with the Banner of Eternal Flame, then my Cauldron, not attached to anything, and then more Witches with the BSB. I put the Shades in front to keep the Frenzy in check, and then if you follow the river and to the left and across it are my Dark Riders. So that is my position. So now we go to my opponent's. My opponent had one unit also left in reserve. It's one of his cohorts of Sauruses. So on his right flank is 18 or 15 cohorted Sauruses with a Scarvet. In the center we have his Temple Guard with his BSB and Slam. On his left is another unit of Saurus Warriors with the old one. In the back we have Teta Eco and 10 Skinks. And I don't think he put him in the unit because he doesn't need to. I think he automatically passes Lookout Sirs, so he just needs to be within range. On his left flank he puts a unit of Ripperdactyls. I think he also uses a scout to get to position. And then you can see his Ancient Stag there too. And I think he uses Teta Eco's power to get him a little bit further forward. Over here on the right you can see that Teta Eco helped him get his Salamander to a better position, and then more Ripperdactyls. So we roll, I get to go first, I declare charge with my Dark Riders, and then my Executioners move up onto the board. So let's talk about my game plan. I know this sounds really silly, but when I saw how everything was deployed, after I found out that my Executioners were left in reserve, I thought, wow, this is going to be an uphill battle. But when his unit got put in reserve and we were matched up across the board pretty evenly, I was like, wow, this is a great time to take advantage of having a reactionary unit. And so, silly, like I said before, I thought of Madden 2000. I was thinking that was the last time I played Madden. There's a very simple play in football games where your offensive line pushes to the left, your running back goes with momentum to the right, and scores a touchdown, whatever. Game term plans, though, taking that aside, no touchdowns. I can move my lines to engage everything to the left. Like my Spearmen can engage the Temple Guard to the left. The Witches can engage the Sources to the left. My other Witches can go try to delay the Ancient Stag. And I can isolate I can isolate the right flank Saurus Warriors, my Executioners, crush them, turn to face, and if I gum up his center lines with my Spearmen and everything, I'll be in everybody's left flank, so I can start wiping up the units from right to left. So yeah, so I'm going to base my whole strategy on Madden 2000, and we'll see how it works out. Alright, so you could say I'm sitting on my offensive line. I'm not moving forward at all. I'm just going to get in position along with my Executioners and then move forward together. The only real movement I do is I reform my Witches to face the Stegodon because my flank was exposed to them. In the magic phase, I cast Wild Form on the Executioners so that the Salamander Breath doesn't hurt as bad, and then I try to kill the Salamander with Amber Spear. I did not know that I could kill a Handler instead, and that's what happens. I kill a Handler instead. We go into combat. I'm up there. I charged those guys. I made it, but I failed my fear test, so now it's going to be hard to win. We go through the combat resolution, and actually nothing happens. Nobody dies. They break because I charged. That's kind of ironic. I fail a fear check and they get scared of me. I don't know how that works, but it does. And this is what the board looks like at the end of my turn. So this is where I start remembering to take pictures. Beforehand I was forgetting. So let's go into his turn. So the Ripperdactyls continue to flee and run off the board. The Salamander gets further into my flank, so I can definitely not see him. His main line just moves forward, getting ready to take a charge and then react to it. And then the Stegodon moves around and gets ready to shoot at my Witches. Then his reserve unit also comes on in front of my Dark Riders, but I have fast cab rules so I can get away. He goes to magic phase, he casts Soul Quench, he miscasts it, kills a rank and a half of his guys, and then he kills 5 of my dudes because I have magic resistance 3. And then he shoots up a bunch of my witches, and we go into my turn. So here's an overview of the board after I declare my charges and I complete my movement. As you can see, a lot has changed. I declared a charge with my executioners and my spearmen, but only the executioners made it. The spearmen didn't have terribly far to go, they just didn't roll what they needed. And so my backup plan here was to get the shades into position so that the temple guard wouldn't be able to hit my executioners in the side. I would just put them right up in their face and force them to charge the shades. For some reason, this picture doesn't show that. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I took this picture too early, or maybe I just failed to carry through with my thought. I don't know. But that's what the game plan was. And you can see my Dark Riders have moved over here too. My other shades moved over here to keep the Stegodon from just charging into my witches. He'll either have to walk around them or charge into the shades, at which point, if he were to overrun, his flank would be exposed. Either way, I would charge him with my Cauldron of Blood. Over here, I cast Wild Form on the Spearmen to protect them from the Salamander Flames. If he shot with them this turn. Last turn he misfired, in case I forgot to mention. And then I cast Miasma on the Swords Warriors and reduce their weapon skill by 1, which means they now hit me on 5s. But I fail my fear test, so now I'm weapon skill 1 versus weapon skill 2. I'm hitting on 4s and he's hitting on 3s. That's unfortunate. But because I failed my fear test, we go to combat. He kills quite a few of my guys because his character goes crazy with the roll in the 6s. Gets more attacks from it and kills more guys. And then I only killed 3 of them. Luckily, I'm steadfast and I stick. I can't explain what I was thinking here. The idea was for him to charge my shades. I was going to stick, and then I was going to charge him. But instead, I flee. I don't know why. But yeah, so I flee. He makes his leadership to redirect, and he easily makes it. So yeah, both of my units are charged. Didn't want that to happen. Over here, do you think he'll fall for my ruse? No, he doesn't fall for my ruse. He doesn't charge. He just walks around and gets ready to shoot. These guys completely out of the game, trundle forward. We go into magic. He tries to cast a high level, I think, Speed of Light. He fails. Not much after that, so magic phase ends. Shoots off 2 wounds on my Cauldron with the Stegodon. We go into combat, and I get lucky here. I challenge his Lord challenges, or I challenge, I don't know how it works, and he destroys my champ. Then he doesn't do too many wounds with me with his regular guys. I kill enough, I lose by 2, stick. Then we go with my executioners, and this is what happens when I don't fail a fear test. I kick ass, and that is what you see here. I killed a bunch of his dudes. He got in a challenge with my sorceress. I think I offered that one. He beats her down hard. So even though I killed a bunch of guys, he wins that challenge by a lot, and he passes his break test pretty easily. Over here, I throw in my assassin. I don't offer a challenge. He doesn't offer me a challenge. Perfect, great matchup. I always think assassins are great against BSBs because they usually just have heavy mundane equipment. Yeah, so I killing blow his BSB. I kill a bunch of his Temple Guard because I have a Wild Form up. But man, those Ripperdactyls did a number on me. They gave that Toad token to my unit, and he just went crazy on him. So even though I scored kind of a moral victory here, taking out a lot of the Temple Guard, he easily beats them. Beats me, I'm steadfast, I stick. So this is what the board looks like right now. My game plan is not coming together. His units were a little bit more sturdier than I expected them to be, being that they're only 3 ranks big. So I'm going to just go to a different game plan, and that is called Win the Attrition War. Alright, so the first step of winning this war is to hopefully shoot the Stegodon down. It's not going to work, but at least I can knock off some wounds. Then I need to get the Cauldron of Blood away from the Stegodon because it does D3 wounds, and that's bad for the Cauldron of Blood. And that thing needs to be near the combats anyways. We go into the magic phase, and I turn my girl into a Hydra, and it's at this point after I turned her, I don't know how she goes into the unit. I would like to think she can just fit in the unit, but I'm not sure if that's how it works. Because I thought she'd be in the unit, displace the spearmen to the back, and that's that. But I wasn't sure. I didn't want to look it up in the book at the moment, so I just put her on the side of the unit. If anybody out there knows if I could have put her in the unit, please let me know. Otherwise, I just assumed she goes on the side. We go into the other magic phase. I also cast Frenzy, the Frenzy spell from the Cauldron onto the witches, and as you can see here, I wreck his source unit. Like I do 16 wounds. I think he only has like 12 guys, and they're just dead. So real lucky. But it also doesn't live very, like that victory isn't very long lasted, because he just destroys the witch's back with this guy. Kept on rolling sixes to hit. And then over here, I kill the rest of his sources. Can't wound this guy. I just roll pretty bad against him. I do win, but he passes, and so I just rank up into 5 wide to win to get more combat resolution. So yeah. So and then I didn't take any pictures of the center battle, but I'm pretty sure the reason I didn't was because it was a bunch of fluffing. Like I didn't. I think I got in a challenge with my assassin and the slan, and I just don't wound him because he has a 4+ ward save, and of course he doesn't wound me because I'm an assassin and he has 1 attack. And then his Riperdactyls, I think, fluff too. So it was a tied combat, and I think he passes break test. So something popped up. I'm 99% sure I know how this works out, but I'm going to just run it out there for everybody else to hear and just reconfirm or deny, tell me that I'm wrong. So he declares a charge first with the Stegodon against the witches. I hold. He then declares a charge with his Source Warriors that are at the back edge over there that came in from reserve at my Dark Riders, and I flee. And when I fled, I ended up right here, as you can see in this picture. And so what I think this is going to lead up to is that the Stegodon is going to fail charge because he can't reach the witches because the Dark Riders are in the way. Now this is just happenstance. If he would have charged with the Source Warriors first, the Dark Riders would have landed here. He could then charge with the Triceratops at them. They would have fled, and then he could redirect it into the witches. But he kind of did it backwards, and I feel like this means he's going to fail charge, and there's nothing he can really do about it. But since it was kind of an awkward situation, we both agreed that you're allowed 1 redirect, and since he was obviously going to fail charge, you could use your redirect to charge the Dark Riders. They could flee, but you would still fail charge. So, but tell me, is it right? Is he going to just fail charge? He's not going to be able to redirect, even though we played the rules a little bit differently. So let me know. All right, so my opponent has a lot of his units are dead. Some of the units that are moving around are way out of position, so I didn't take pictures of them. But he goes to the magic phase, and he gets Time Warp off in a bubble. And I think if Hand of Glory is a bubble effect, he also got that off. And with that, he easily kills the 3 witches. I do 1 wound to him before they die. And then over here, if you notice, there's a slan missing. And that's because my assassin double killing blowed the slan in the challenge. It was amazing. Just to see those 2 6s go up, and then he rolls 2 2s, and it was fantastic. Best assassination ever. I'm glad it's on camera. So we do combat resolution. His guys break, the Riperdactyls break. I test to restrain, and then I reform to face the flank of this old blood who thought he was going to get off easily. My assassin's not done. He sees another target. Then we go to my turn. I think I smell blood. I'm getting a little too cocky here, and for whatever reason, I charge my witches and my shades into this thing, and that is a fight I can't win, but I do it. I also declare a charge here with my assassin and his entourage attacking the old blood. Let's see how that goes. And then over here, I fluffed him last turn, so here we are just facing off some more. So this is what the board looks like at the end, or before we go into our combats, or before we go into magic even. So we go into magic, I get the Beast of Horos off on my assassin, and I think I even get the Frenzy off on the assassin. So he's going in there with a whole lot of attacks at strength 8, because I also have Wild Form off. So this guy is dead. And yep, he's dead, because I kill and blow him too. I am on a roll. Unfortunately, he still has those bubble effects going off, so he kills my assassin. So my assassin does all these great assassinations, but he has no one to brag about it to, because he's dead. Over here, we go into combat with my Executioners versus this Scarvet, and finally, we kill and blow him, chop his head off. Fantastic. And then over here, my opponent shows me that I was getting cocky, and he kicks some ass. He kills my BSB. This was so stupid of me. I charge my BSB in there. She's not wearing anything. So he drags her attacks against her. She dies. Stomps some shades. Luckily, I passed my break test, but my opponent concedes here. Um, it was a good game, but he felt like he wasn't going to come back from it when he lost his bulk of his forces. All he had left was peripheral. So let's go over the afterthoughts. So this is where my opponent decided to throw in the towel. I'll post the points up later at this point. I think he easily could have gotten another 500 points out of me um, because the Stegodon battle was not going to go in my favor. And then I think there's some shades at the bottom right. You can't see that he was probably going to kill those off. Uh, so yeah, I think some points changes could have changed up a little bit here. But as far as my game plan was concerned, it didn't really work out the way I was envisioning. I really thought that I could isolate that unit, destroy it, and then move on from right to left. But man, his units ended up being a little bit more stubborn and sturdier than I anticipated. I mean, I kind of looked at him and I was like, okay, 15 unit Source Warriors against my Great Weapon guys, easy battle. Turned out to be, I was totally wrong, especially when I failed that fear test. And I guess I can really go into what I did wrong in this game. Um, I, I placed my Witches of the Flame Banner in the center of my army, and honestly, I did that because it was aesthetically pleasing to me. It was not because I thought it was any. It was the opposite of a tactical maneuver because my BSB unit ended up being on the far left. So I'm guarding my left flank with my BSB, surrounded by units that don't need the reroll because they're immune to psychology. They're not going to flee off the board. They're not going to fail fear tests. And so I should have put my BSB in the central unit so that she would be in range of both the spearmen and the executioners. Now, luckily, the spearmen didn't fail any fear tests, and even if I did, I still have the gleaming pennant. But my executioners, there was really no reason for me not to have the BSB over there. So there's really two things you can take from this lesson. It's one, make sure you recognize which unit in your army needs the BSB the most. In my case, it's the executioners. And also, if you allow yourself to make decisions based on the way you like the way something looks, make sure everything looks good. Make sure you paint all your units. That way you don't find yourself putting a unit on the far left of your flank just because you don't like the way it looks in the center of your army. So yeah, two lessons, take them to heart. Finally, the last thing I did wrong, obviously, was near the end there. I got a little, I guess, anxious with my cleanup game, and I went to try to clean something up. I'm doing the quotation marks with my fingers, clean something up with units that had no business fighting a Stegodon. So yeah, don't do that again. So yeah, that's the end of this battle report. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, or subscribe, and I'll see you later. See ya.